welcome to today's webinar on Future Ready Self-Storage, Preparing for Tomorrow. I'm your host, Shalin Sankar, European Business Development Manager, Nokē Smart Entry, and we've got an exciting session lined up with some of the smartest minds in property management solutions across the UK, Europe, and Asia. Now, I know what you're thinking, property management software, exciting, but trust me, when these tools are helping self-storage operators run facilities from their phones while sipping tea in another country, you'll see just how thrilling it gets. Who knows? Maybe one day your storage unit will be smarter than your home. No judgment if it is already. Today's panelists are here to talk about everything from automation and AI to remote management and smart technology, and how these innovations are shaping the future of the industry. So whether you're looking to streamline your operations or just make sure your facilities are future-proof, you're in the right place. Let's get ready to unlock the future of self-storage. No padlocks required, no key, no problem. Before we kick into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, please direct your questions to the Q&A function and not the chat. They will be answered toward the end of the session. The webinar is also being recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube in the upcoming week. And then lastly, we wouldn't be here today without our magnificent panel. Gents, can I ask you to introduce yourselves to our audience, please?
I'll kick off. My name's Alasdair Lindsay from Radical Systems. We supply Space Manager. I've been in the self-storage industry for about 25 years now in various positions, and been with Radical Systems for the last 23 years. I'm looking forward to trying to answer some questions and pass on a little bit of knowledge about what we've seen over that time.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alasdair. Martin, do you want to jump in?
Yes, my name is Martin Wild. I'm based in Vienna. We are a company spread out in entire Europe, have customers now across the entire continent of Europe, including the UK and as well in Asia. We've started in this business 6.5 years ago. So we've had the chance to learn about hundreds of different operations and how they do business and what software needs to be able to support the customer with. It's really a great joy working in this industry.
Brilliant. Thank you, Martin. Gavin?
Hi, my name is Gavin Shields. My background is I used to work in finance, worked for a large US private equity firm, got into startups about 15 years ago, bunch of different startups. And then about 5 years ago, I sold some shares in one of my tech companies, had a bit of money and decided randomly to invest into the self-storage industry. So I opened my first site almost to the day 5 years ago today in a small town in Northern Ireland. And with my background in technology, I really wanted to make it as automated and as lean and as efficient as possible. So built a bit of technology to help facilitate that, and ended up almost accidentally starting Stora. So Stora has been around now for 3.5 years, and we have customers all around Europe, UK, US, and even outside that, with about 250 customers, 450 sites, and rapidly growing. So yeah, I also love the industry. It's been what a 3.5 years of going to conferences. It's a great industry to be in.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Gavin. Marc, can I pass the baton over to yourself?
Yes, thank you, Shalin. My name is Marc. I'm the CEO and owner of Stora IT. Stora IT is already in the business since the year 2000. So quite a lot of experience and knowledge is gathered within the company. And we do our best to make the self-storage operation as easy as possible with all kinds of automations. We have customers in more than 18 countries in Europe, and we run our business from Amsterdam a little bit. Zaandam, actually, it's a little city north of Amsterdam. So, and we're looking forward to the webinar today and discuss all kinds of automations and future of self-storage.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Marc. Last but not least, Jack, over to you.
Thanks, Shalin. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So, my name's Jack. I'm the head of sales at Storeganise. Yeah, we've been in operation. Actually, we've been going now. We're coming up to our 10-year anniversary. So, yeah, the brothers, Charlie, Miles, they set up the business, their own sort of valet self-storage business. They realized that the tech side of the business was kind of in more demand than the actual the valet. So they sold that off, and then we've been building the tech ever since now. So yeah, we're in 38 different countries, and we're sort of growing rapidly in various different sort of regions as well. And yeah, I'm probably the newest to self-storage, I would say. I've only been working with the guys now for about a year or two, but I come from a sort of software development consultancy, so I kind of understand the importance of modernizing technology and what impact that has on businesses. So yeah, really, really happy and grateful to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. So without further ado, shall we get into it? Marc, I think just from my side, if you don't mind, we kick off with you. You emphasized the word automation in your introduction.
Right.
So just in your view, what ways has automation most significantly improved operational efficiency for self-storage today?
That's an interesting question, because we have come from far within the business. For instance, Store IT started just by a question from Russell Jordan, was by then the owner of Citybox in Holland, and he asked Store IT, well, can you come up with some sort of software which will help us a little bit with the processes within the operation. So from then on, it is going very rapidly, and especially the last 5, 6, 7 years are changing rapidly from everything by hand to fully automated, from a reception with 2 persons with completely unmanned, from managing rent prices manually or by heart, by using AI-driven software to manage your price automatically, from cash payments. Well, we hardly see any cash payments within with our customers anymore. So that is going on and on and on. And basically, the self-storage business is maturing. And that's very nice to see. You see it in lots of different ways, not only that operators try to make their own life as easy as possible, but more important, to make the lives of tenants more and more easy. So everything is done by online, quick and intuitive customer journey. Very important, 24/7 access. Apps for quick and access to information or promotions from the operator to the tenants, but especially also for the operators themselves. It is going into the future in a platform-driven software, and that is, I think, very important, because then the platform-driven, I mean that the management software is a little bit like the spider in the web. And at the background, it connects with all kinds of different third-party software. The operator itself and the tenant itself do not have to think about it, but everything is under one umbrella, under one platform. And all these different kind of software will be more and more integrated. And in my point of view, it's the best way to do it in some sort of a big platform, where Store IT is the spider in the web.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Panelists, would any of you like to contribute to the question, or shall we move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Marc entirely there on everything he says. essentially what we're seeing in the industry, probably since around 2008, when things started to go wrong in world economies. The industry grew up a lot at that point. Prior to that, people were seeing buildings going up by 10% a year, and the balance sheet was just increasing and increasing. Since then, they've focused a lot on building the businesses themselves, rather than just having a property that's worth a couple of £1 million and going up by 10% a year. So we're starting to see a lot more, and have done since then in particular, a lot more reporting integration, where people are looking at how the businesses are doing, focusing on where they can make gains in that business and increasing revenue streams. And self-storage property management software, facilitates that. There's a mine of information there to get out of it. I would accountants probably don't go overboard. We do see a lot of people maybe getting into too much of the minutiae of things, but there is information there to be gleaned to help revenue streams, and that is dependent on the customer, and dependent what they're wanting to do, and dependent on the market they're in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alasdair. Gavin, looking back, how has the self-storage industry changed over the last decade? What has been driving these changes? Also, with the disclaimer that, like you've said in your introduction, that you are an operator as well.
Yeah, so I can't talk about a full decade back because I've only been in the industry for 5 years, but I can definitely talk about quite a few things that have changed since I came in. So the way I see the industry is, the future of this industry is going to be determined by the winners. So the people who win in any industry ultimately are able to ultimately they deploy their capital the most efficiently. So if you're investing in self-storage and you're putting £1 million in, and you can get a 30% return on investment, and somebody else is getting a 29% return on investment, you over time will beat these people. So the future of self-storage, I think, it's going to be determined by the people who are going to win. And the way I see it, there are two areas that I really am super focused on at my sites and also with my software. So the first is, like, how do I maximize my revenue? And so when I think about how do I do that, like, how do I do that on my website? How do I convert people as efficiently as possible online, in person? How do I maximize the basket size? And how do I maximize the lifetime value of a customer over time? So how do I, basically, for every customer that comes in, how do I make sure that the revenue is optimized? And that is a constant challenge. And the second part, I think, of long-term winning in this industry is going to be, how do I control my costs? And that comes back to what Marc and Alasdair just spoke about, which I completely agree about: automation. How do we automate things to make sure that there's no waste in the business? Those two things combined are the two things that contribute to a successful self-storage business that's being run well and that ultimately will win over the long term. So when I look back 5 years ago, when I came in the industry, at that point, when I looked around, I didn't check out everybody, and I didn't know as well as Marc and Alasdair and possibly yourself were in the industry then, and maybe you see it differently. But when I looked around 5 years ago, I didn't see many self-storage websites that showed prices or let people book online. And one of the things that I think has changed over the past 5 years is that operators have recognized that your website is your number one salesperson. That is where people go, and that is where you want to, as efficiently as you possibly can, convert a prospect into a customer. And there's tons and tons of stuff that I think operators are doing, software platforms are doing to enhance that conversion from the prospect into a customer. There's tons of, we're doing lots around basket size, converting people through the funnel as efficiently as possible. But there's also, not everyone will go through the website. And so there's also making sure that's done efficiently when people ring up, and making sure that happens. So that's one way that I've seen a change there, where there's a lot more people now showing prices, using the website to efficiently sell ultimately and efficiently drive the revenue. The second thing then, so I don't need to repeat, I don't want to repeat what has already been said, but just site automation, the use of technology, hardware and software to drive automated move-ins, help people, like Marc said, go from 2 staff to maybe no staff, because you don't need a site. You don't need to have staff on site if you can handle that. And Marc referenced a while ago the whole sort of the time taken to get somebody who's walked into the front door, to show them around, get them to sign a contract, create an invoice, take a payment, give them a code, maybe show them to their unit. Think about how long that took in the past, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, and to do all of that. That can now, with the right combination of hardware and software, that can really be fully automated, so that a customer can come to your website or by phone, and just that whole thing being automated and being tightly integrated, those two things together, enabling unmanned sites, enabling efficient self-storage businesses, enabling the minimization of costs. Those are the big things I've seen happen. And I think that when we look forward, it's going to be those areas where just a continued focus on those two areas and improvements, constant improvement across those areas. That's what I think we'll see going forward too.
Fantastic. Thank you. And having been in the sector myself for a little under 10 years, I've seen the most amount of transformation happen pre-customer journey, pick up the phone, drive by, go in, understand the concept, book the space, move in, right? But today, to your point, and some of the panelists, it all happens online, seamless, which is great, right? Thanks again, Gavin. Jack, how has the ability to manage facilities remotely transformed the way operators run their business, especially in terms of cost and staffing?
Yeah, so I think you could look at this through maybe a few different areas, right? The smaller businesses, medium, and maybe large. I think if you're looking at the smaller operators, the fact that you can now use technology to create these unmanned automated facilities, it makes the business model much more financially viable from the get-go. So we're seeing a lot more an entry of a lot more entrepreneurs, people that weren't necessarily in real estate. Lots of people are flooding into the market because they feel like it's a good passive income stream because you can automate and you can reduce the cost and get to that break even and profitability quicker. So that's interesting because that's, especially in urban areas, we're seeing a more competitive landscape. People are starting to be more creative with how they're winning their customers as well, looking at SEO, marketing strategies, how they engage with their customers. If you have a fully online experience, what's the actual experience for them in store? Because it is more competitive because more people are, and we're specifically seeing that in the UK. I think in the US, people are starting to have to, it's not quite as easy as business as usual. I think another area would be scaling as well. So this automation is being used as a lever to scale. And you look at, if you've got 3 or 4 sites, maybe you want to get investment, private equity to get to that next leap of 15 to 20 sites. It's quite an attractive business kind of plan. If you go to investors and say, we're going fully automated, these are the costs, that from an investment perspective, it's quite an attractive kind of offer. And you can see that scalability and the hockey stick moment quite quickly because of that. So I think that's an interesting area. One big sort of shift we're seeing as well with some of the bigger operators, more established, as they move to like sort of fully automated unmanned facilities, is that obviously the staff don't need to be on site. Maybe you've got 15 sites dotted around the country. So then you kind of bring your staff into a head office, and what impact does that have on the business and your company culture and and staffing? And so that's kind of an interesting sort of shift, I would say, in terms of how these operators are managing their business and their staff. And then finally, I would say, those operators that have decided from a very early stage to go fully automated and unmanned, they've got this kind of confidence of being able to reduce that cost, 10x on staff, because there isn't necessarily a transformation there of having to deal with staff as you transition, because they've taken the kind of that business model from a very early stage, and you can see how other people are starting to replicate that now. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Gavin?
Can I just add one more thing? I think, Jack, that's a really good point. And one of the things that we see as well is that challenge there, if you're moving from from kind of staffed sites to automated sites, it is a huge challenge. And I think if operators who embrace modern software, it can transform how you operate your business. It really can truly change how you operate your business. But that is a challenge, and we do see it quite a bit with lots of our customers are making this transition, and it can be a big challenge taking existing processes and systems and trying to understand, like, why was I actually doing that process? Why is this system in place? Often it's, if you get right down to the why of what the reason you're doing it, it's often because of some other limitation to something you've got in place. And actually you can get rid of the whole thing and make your life easier. And that's sometimes the challenge, but also the big opportunity for anybody who's trying to do it. If you can get through that, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and Shalin, just if we just got a moment, just that was a great response from Jack there. Just one thing that I'd like to touch on is something I actually picked up in the States at one of the Vegas conference a number of years ago, and Jack didn't mention the word, but we hear the word unmanned a lot. And one of the elements that was brought out there is that generally you might not have staff on site all the time, but these are probably less manned facilities. So you're looking to reduce costs, but there will be people who have to go to site on occasion. And what Jack said, you're moving your staff to head office. So you're looking to get down from, say, 2 or 3 staff a site to 1 or 0.9 staff a site essentially. And that's just something. Don't forget about the people there. They're still there. Customers will still call, but the property management software and websites are designed to reduce that calling element, and obviously, try and make you less manned is kind of where I see it.
If I may add as well, some of these established companies that are doing that transition, maybe they've got loyal, dedicated family staff, right, that have been with them for years, and so I think you don't want to let go of that staff, and that's part of the change management process. I think with technology you can upskill and you can keep that dedicated workforce. It's not necessarily a case that we're going to go fully automated and be unmanned, and that means we're going to get rid of half of our staff. I don't think that's often the case. You still need the people to manage the technology on the back end, and you can also apply that resource to other areas of the business as well. You can retrain people into marketing or events or other areas.
That's happening a lot with introducing new technology. People are thinking, hey, it's going to cost me my job, but no, it will also create new jobs. And that is also what we see with our customers. We have a wide variety of customers. Some do it like, let's say, the old way, and the others try to run in front of everybody. But basically, the new generation who is looking for self-storage are the younger people, and they are born with internet into their spine. So my point of view, there is only one way to move forward. Also with let's say the self-storages which have a little bit older operators, at some point they will have to move and also service the new generation who are looking for website integrations, who are looking for apps, who are looking for all kinds of automation, and basically do not want to talk to an operator anymore. If I'm looking to my kids, they prefer using an iPhone with everything. And sometimes it is my point of view that it looks that they are scared of getting a real live interaction with a human. So yeah, I don't know where it's heading to, but it's getting more and more integrated with automation.
100%.
That software has to be more versatile than ever before. And also what you mentioned, Marc, an interesting fact. From when you look at the history in 2016, in the year of 2016 in Europe, people were 8 times more productive compared to 1950 at the same, due to automation. At the same time, the number of jobs has increased a lot more than those 8 times. So eventually what we see is automation is actually creating jobs rather than destroying jobs.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally agree.
Guys, I absolutely agree with each and every one of you. I think that was a really valuable point. Just in terms of my experience, you know, when you begin to transform your facility toward an automated state, the concern is always the people, right? But not every online inquiry is a slam dunk, right? So what does that mean? It means we now have, or our customers now have the ability to sort of repurpose their labor force to improve efficiency. So you've got a customer that requires a little bit more nurturing. Maybe they're new to self-storage. We now have resources that are able to deal with those inquiries at a more human level, right? Which ultimately buys, Gavin, like you alluded to at the beginning, customer value, lifetime revenue, and it improves your brand proposition, in my opinion. All right. This is getting juicy. Next one, Gavin, just in terms of pricing, and in one of your previous responses, you had spoken about that, right? What strategies can operators implement to optimize their facility pricing, and how can property management software help?
Yeah, this is an interesting question, actually, because I think there's a few different elements to it. There's the way I think about pricing is there's the price on the way in. So what are you selling your storage for? But also, like, what add-ons are you doing? Like, how are you managing things? Like, are you going to charge a contracting fee, for example, of £10? Are there add-ons about 24-hour access? How are you managing that price, and how are you optimizing that price as well? And sometimes that isn't about maximizing your revenue, but actually pricing strategy that opens up your product to a broader range of the market. So you might have a price that is low, which is perfect for some people, and then a price that's high that's better for other people who want to pay it. So it's the price on the way in, and then it's optimizing and managing that price as the customer is in your facility. So so it's those two things. And then when we break that down, how do we maximize the price on the way in? And we all know, I'm sure we've all heard the term dynamic pricing. So there's dynamic pricing around how we show the price to the customer. What is the price we're showing the customer? And that can be changed dynamically. And that can be based on supply-based factors. So we recently released dynamic pricing, which is supply-based into Stora. What that does is just how full are you? What's your occupancy rate like? And then changing the price based on certain rules. That's actually relatively straightforward part of dynamic pricing. The much more interesting part is demand-based dynamic pricing, which is based around how busy is your website? How many visits do you have at the moment? Where are they coming from? What are the signals here that this person's prepared to pay more, or maybe they're prepared to pay a lower price? And how do we change the price based on demand? So that's the interesting stuff that we're investing in and hoping to develop more products and features in the future. And then the second part of it, which is how do you manage the price on an ongoing basis? That's about price increases and doing that in the optimized way as well. So it's an interesting topic, especially because of what happened with the Oasis tickets that were sold a week or two ago, and the blowback. I don't know if that was why you thought it was an interesting topic, Shalin, but with the Ticketmaster Oasis situation with dynamic pricing and how the price is doubled or tripled, it can go wrong. You can have a PR disaster. It can go wrong. So it is something where we need to be very careful. There are also different rules and regulations by country in this area. So it's not, you can't, you could, for example, say, okay, this customer is at this IP address, which is at this place. Maybe they're South Kensington or Mayfair in London. Put the price up by 10%. Is that discriminatory? Probably. So I don't know if that's legal or not, but you need to be careful of these things. So there's all sorts of stuff that you could do to increase prices, but we need to be careful. My final comment on this is going to be, I think that what excites me is that the big operators are already doing all of this stuff well. So they've got the resources and the money to invest in building teams who can manage pricing models, build pricing models, and optimize the ongoing pricing. Smaller operators, historically, they just don't have the data, they don't have the investment, they don't have the time to invest in tools to optimize these things. And that's a place where we are really, really investing a lot, because we now have we have about 15 to 20% of the UK facilities using Stora now. We've got tons of data flowing through our system, tons of invoicing and payments and all sorts of stuff. How can we use that data to bring these tools to the smaller operators, to the guys who are trying to be the next Big Yellow or the next whoever, the next Sureguard? And it's something that we're really passionate about at Stora, is giving these tools to the smaller and medium-sized operators who are pushing to be the future winner in the industry. So that's where I think there's a really exciting future for those type of operators.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The whole pricing model must be very, very versatile, very flexible, because there are so many different kind of operators. You have the small ones, you have the family owned, you have the all the way up to the multinationals, and the smaller or the local operators. They have a different price strategy than the bigger ones. Let's say in the UK, Big Yellow, or in Holland, One Box. And what Gavin is saying makes all the sense there is. But we're also working together with a company in America who is using AI, big data, and all kinds of algorithms to determine a new price for a box. And then the price, let's say in Amsterdam, can be different than a smaller city. Is that discriminating? I don't know. It's making use of all the data there is. So depending on the size and amount of facilities, the pricing strategy will be completely different, and we, as self-storage property management systems, must supply all these options.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just to add to that quickly, yeah, no, I think it's a lot of it does depend as well, like you said, Mark, on your demographic. You know, what are you in a small town? You know, to a sort of a more elderly boomer generation, would they pay more of a premium compared to, you know, an urban city of younger students, right? So it's that understanding and that data. And Gavin, like, I totally agree with your comment about we are in a position now where, you know, we can gather the data and we can replay that data back to the operators to help them make better data-driven decisions. And I think that's definitely where we're going. There are companies out there, like, you know, in the US, there's ProRise, which is an interesting platform that you can plug in to give you that kind of demographics of, you know, there's even buyer sort of demand data where you can start to see using Google Analytics, you know, what kind of searches are people making in your local area. Can that be a factor to your dynamic pricing? I think it's a really interesting kind of topic, and I think as software developers and PMSs, we're going to be at the forefront of that, probably because of the amount of data that we have access to.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we just got time quickly, Shalin, just Jack mentioned there, but ProRise is, you know, one of the ones that we integrate with. And you know, we had an interesting one from a customer quite some time ago now. They did sort of introduce ProRise for a month or two, and a unit they had been renting for the last 10 years vacated. And overnight, ProRise presented a doubling of the rate on that unit, and they had a huge panic. And we're going, hang on, look, guys, you know, your algorithm is completely messed up here. It's you know, going to screw up our system if we keep getting crazy things like this happening. And 2 days later, the room rented at that doubling of the rate. You know, so you know, people like this.
Too cheap.
People like this have, you know, quite a knowledge of the industry and trends and what people might pay. You know, and I get that this is a contentious issue. They're not looking just, you know, your data. They're essentially comparing it to everybody else who they integrate with data. But you know, that can you know, can aid your facility. So there can be odd things happening that you guys, you know, people just don't realize, because it would seem to be completely against what you're expecting. But then, you know, bam, the market's there, it takes it. So yeah, that was just an interesting thing when we were talking about ProRise.
Alasdair, to just add on a little bit, we have and we all have customers who have let's say 97, 98, 99 occupancy rate, and they are still scared to upgrade their prices. I always give them the advice, well, you better upgrade the price and go a little bit lower in your occupancy rate, but in the end, you will make more money. You have a better rate of return.
Yeah.
And that is still something which scares a lot of operators.
Yeah. And
Martin?
now we naturally kind of moved into the AI topic already. To touch on that, I think it's gonna make a huge it's gonna have a huge impact on the industry using AI, especially this is one perfect example, managing price, because there's so many different factors you could consider to take a decision on what could be the price for a specific unit, and AI is the perfect tool, the perfect technology to understand all this huge amount of data and really take the best decision possible, which a human could never do. So I think AI is going to be one centerpiece of every self-storage facility. If not already today, maybe in 2-3 years, it's going to be used by pretty much every single self-storage facility that wants to be successful. Yeah, that's then I have multiple other examples where AI could be used, but I guess we get to that a bit later.
All right, guys, I'm just conscious of time. But since we're on the AI topic, which is a keyword that's buzzing at the moment, and you know, Marc, you also mentioned big data, but we'll get to that after this point. Martin, what can facility operators do today to leverage AI?
Yeah. So next to dynamic pricing and next to occupancy management is customer support. So what we see today is that operators spend a lot of time in communicating with leads and communicating with customers, and have to deal with very repetitive questions. Those questions were answered by chatbots in the past already, but in a very poor quality. So personally, I hate chats still today. Every time I'm on a website, I'm using it and I'm just so disappointed. But now it's the time where it really can change the image of chatbots as well, and in general, the usability of chatbots. So we see that ChatGPT, which we are integrated with, OpenAI to be specific, is a way to really enhance your customer experience drastically, also 24/7. So overnight, there's so many people that book at night that don't have time during your office hours to rent a storage unit. And if there is a virtual salesperson assisting your real sales team, it can add a lot of value to your business. Again, it's not for replacing sales staff. That's the completely wrong approach. It's to assist the sales staff, especially in times when they are not available. Another important field where AI can help a lot is, in my opinion, security monitoring. So cameras have been using AI for quite many years already to identify suspicious behavior of customers. And also with Nokē, all of us, we're all integrated with Nokē, and we see really a great user experience together with Nokē as people book online, get direct access, they get their information through chats 24/7, don't need to talk to anyone to get their key, etc. So eventually it's a great user journey that can be provided today, which if your neighbor doesn't do it, you're gonna win the deal with that client. So I think there can be done a lot in the future to improve and also increase your revenues at the end of the day.
Thank you, Martin. Whilst we're still on AI, considering the recent global outage and cyber attack, right? How secure is it to integrate AI into business, right? And to take that a step further, how secure are each and every one of your products in this sphere against these external challenges. Martin, start with you.
Yeah, very happy to touch that point as well, because it was a big topic 2 weeks ago with the CrowdStrike incident. And what we have to be aware of, AI is software, and software is never immune to outages. Can happen to AI as to any other standard software. So it is not the case that AI is less or more secure than other software. It's always the question on how you deal with security measurements for your software product. So what's ultimately very important is that you work with a software that's secured with multiple different security layers, where really professionals are working every day to keep the system up to date, to keep it secure over time. Making it secure one time and then leaving it for 10 years is a bad idea. So make sure you have someone taking care of your software that you're using. We see, and in general in public, in the news, we see that there are more and more cyber attacks from several different sources, and it's becoming a more and more important topic. So yeah, one more reason not to work with Excel or not to work with some self-made software to really be on the safe side.
Yeah, I totally agree with Martin. And AI gives you a lot of opportunities. But if you ask ChatGPT a question about, well, give me a resume of Shalin Sankar, you might get a very interesting resume, which has nothing to do with Shalin, who's in front of me right now. So that's the difficulty still with AI. And the security of all our software, like Kinnovis, Space Manager, Stora, Storeganise, and Store IT. Yeah, it depends on the security layers. And yeah, to my surprise, a little bit, we are the only software supplier who is ISO 27001 certified, and that has everything to do with data management, data handling, and data security. Because that is the backbone of all our business models. If you get corrupted in a way that all the business data is out there for everybody to grab, yeah, I think that is a worst case scenario. And I believe we all five do our best to keep it as safe as possible.
Maybe to quickly touch on that point that Marc mentioned, if you look for Shalin Sankar, give me a summary of him.
Boyishly good looking.
That's a quick one.
Good looking and many other things. But AI is not magic. So the AI boom has caused us as a society think that AI can do everything. AI cannot answer personal questions about Shalin unless it has access to that data. So it's always a question on how you're using it. Now I think we get into a phase where where the boom of AI is over. It's not in the media every day anymore. And we move more into a consolidation phase where we understand as a community, as humans, how to use AI most efficiently and which applications actually make sense. There's so many AI startups that failed simply because they have been using AI in the wrong approach. So it's a matter of how we use it. And if we use it right, it makes a huge difference, and it's really working very well.
Could I just add something about AI quickly regarding sort of SEO and marketing? So I had a demo relatively recently, and I asked the operator how they heard of us, and they said they just typed in self-storage software into AI. So it was the first. So we had to create a new sort of deal lead source for AI generated answers now. So that's quite an interesting sort of concept for operators. Moving in, like, you've got SEO marketing budget, of course, and what does that look like as an operator getting new customers if they are starting to use AI to find the nearest sort of storage units in your area. And then the second point I had more about the sort of the software development side is, you can be secure in AWS cloud and all of the sort of the pen testing and all of the parameters that come within that. But also it does a lot of the time come down to what's the quality and the best practices of how you're actually building your software in the first place. Are you using those kind of these best software development practices that include quality testing from the very beginning, so then that kind of prevents issues arising in the future. So that's quite an interesting point.
Fantastic.
Can I make one quick comment, Shalin?
Yeah, sure.
I'll try and be quick. A couple of things I just wanted to touch on. One is just on the security. So like Martin said, totally agreed. Software, you can never 100% say my software is impenetrable. You can just do best practices, like Jack was saying. It's all about best practices, how you build your software. My co-founders, we built a fintech product before we got into Stora. So we're used to kind of using bank level security, bank level encryption. And even then we have to be very careful. We have to do lots and lots of work, and we do invest a lot of time and effort into ensuring security. The other thing I was going to say is on AI. I think AI or any other sort of new technology that comes along, I think all us five as sort of software platforms, it is sort of incumbent upon us to, when a new technology comes along, to, on behalf of our customers, look at it, look for the opportunities, look for the threats, and figure out, where is it that we can, whereas we can leverage this to improve our customers' life and improve their business, because that's ultimately what they're entrusting us to do. We're kind of like an outsourced tech team, and it's really important for us to continue to do that. We use AI in a couple of different places. So far, we found it really useful. Number one, speeding up our software development, so we're able to release larger, better features quicker. And the second thing is we have an AI thing that we leverage from our payment processor, which picks a time of day to retry a card payment, which dramatically increases the chance of the card payment succeeding. And so a lot of our bigger customers, especially who track their bad debts, report halving or better of bad debts because of that little bit of AI. So there are definitely use cases for it, and I think over time it's going to be interesting to see where that goes, for sure. So anyway, yeah.
Absolutely, and really quickly, and I know you're trying to move on, Shalin, because we are pushed on time. Like Gavin, the AI stuff is has its limitations, as Martin says. We did a project recently, and clearly the ChatGPT had no idea what it was going to say, and it went off rambling and made something up that was complete nonsense. But it was very interesting to see. It was very eloquently put, but it really was just making it up. And like Gavin, where we tend to use it is a lot in the software development end of things at the moment. And just again quickly touching on the software security side, there's clearly, as Jack says, all the penetration testing, etc., that we all do, and standards that we conform to and work to best practice on. One of the elements that obviously, as we're all hosting providers, we all supply hosting to our customers. One of the big elements that one of our partners is always banging on about is the nuclear aspect of things. So having a second data center that is outside the nuclear strike area of the first data center, which is all sounds quite horrendous, but definitely something we might want to think of in the coming years.
Absolutely, guys. We are running severely out of time, and we're going to have to jump into the Q&A pretty soon, in about a minute or so. But lastly, guys, my last question, and we haven't got through a lot today, but potentially we can pick it up in another session, just around future trends, right? What emerging trends do you think will be common in the near future? Right? We've spoken about AI, machine learning, new access tech, contactless booking, but anything out of the ordinary that you feel is going to be a game changer?
Making the journey of a new customer as simple and as quickly as possible. It's all about the customer. That's the main thing. It was for a long time all about the operator, but it's switching all the way to the customer in any way you can think of. I can give numerous of examples, but to my point of view, it's the customer who's getting upfront.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. As Marc says, you know, we're seeing more, you know, more and more. It's about the customer journey, and very much within websites. You know, that's a customer focus at the moment. The customer journey within their websites, and you know, whether it's coming to unmanned or less manned operations, people are looking to use their websites as a customer experience tool. You know, we've still got customers out there who do like people to phone them, but as Marc says, younger generations are definitely more focused on a contactless journey, and that's what we see more and more. Things do tend to go in trends and waves in any industry, in particular this industry we see, and you know, whilst smart technology doesn't have to be per se, you know, it's essentially something talking to something else. A strange one, which maybe goes back a few years, we've just had literally in the last sort of few weeks, we've had quite a number of inquiries from customers wanting to do more with SMS, and that's just a trend, you know, that strangely has come up in the last few weeks, where they're looking to make contact with their customers. You know, I guess it's a sort of contactless form of communication, and yeah, just there seems to be a trend for that currently, which is maybe not as smart as we might be thinking.
Fantastic. Jack?
Yeah, I could add, well, we touched upon the importance of the customer-centric sort of journey. So there's some really interesting robotics happening in Asia at the moment. You know, I don't know whether you've seen some videos of some of the robots that scan QR codes on the floor and they bring the units to the door. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure how far away we are at that in the UK, and probably further away from it in the US. And I think, yeah, it'd be interesting to see as well, kind of, I think Alasdair picked up on this before about Power BI and reporting, and you as well, Gavin. You know, through these integrations and all these different data points, you've got the Nokē system providing so much data from all the way from inside the unit, from out to outside, and that whole journey. If you can start to integrate that data with the data from your PMS, with the data from your accounting and your Google Analytics, I'd love to see a world, and I think we're moving in this way, where you've got a consolidated dashboard with all of your data being fed in through various integrations and APIs or whatever. And then you can start building your own dashboards and reporting to say, right, you know, I want a flag to know when a certain customer is entering a unit more than 5 times a day. You know, is that a bad actor? Or is someone, you know, I want a red flag to notify me when someone is entering a unit and not coming out until the next day. And this can all be automated into one dashboard. And I think that's kind of an exciting sort of thing to look forward to for operators.
Thank you, Jack. I think there's a lot of value in that response. Thank you. Guys, we're going to have to jump into the Q&As. We've got 6 minutes left, and I'm conscious of time. The first question from Julian, do you see any geographical trends in adoption of Nokē technology? Example, more in certain countries and more popular in large cities versus rural locations. So just in terms of Nokē, from Janus International point of view, I think the transformation to smart over the last 12, 24 months has been immense, right? Operators, big or small, are sort of moving toward the state because they see the long-term value of either retrofitting or developing new sites that are on trend, right? So I think gone are the days where we talk about large cities or rural locations. The sector's moving forward. And I think as a priority, you're either on the train or you're not. But Gavin, as a Nokē operator as well, would you like to add to that?
Well, I don't see it, I suppose, the same high level as you do with the Nokē software, but I will say that whenever I was looking at opening my site 5 years ago, I think at that time Nokē was the only solution in the market, and it really was that Nokē technology smart entry technology, it really does open up a whole new market. So one of the bits of research I did 5.5 years ago was look at the UK population. I found 750 towns with between 5 and 50,000 people living in them. It was 20 million people, a third of the UK population lived in these towns, these small towns, average sized towns. None of them I could find had any kind of indoor self-storage. And that was because at that point in time, indoor self-storage typically had a reception and 1 or 2 members of staff. And it is not economically viable to run a self-storage business in a town of 10,000 people. That's going to maybe be 4,000 or 5,000 square feet of net lettable space. It's not viable to run that with staff. So it's this smart entry technology that is opening up a whole new kind of race, I would say, for operators who want to grow, ambitious operators who want to go into these towns. This is a huge opportunity. It's still largely untapped. But yeah, the only thing I'd add is I think that it's this technology that has opened up a huge new kind of opportunity for people.
Thank you, Gavin. There's another question here from Richard Mallion. Again, feel free to answer, guys. OpenAI is still producing outdated or inaccurate information. Is anyone using it and proven effective and accurate as part of their AI chat sales process in the market yet?
Yeah,
I know there's oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know there's one in the US, a chatbot that's used by thousands of sites, and it's AI based. It doesn't use ChatGPT because of some of the limitations that it has, and I think they've cracked a way of making that work. We've also built, we play around, as I said earlier, like it's sort of incumbent on us, I think, to invest in researching new technologies. We've built some stuff, tested some chatbot stuff on top of GPT, and just from what we've seen, there are some limitations that we just need to be careful about. But yeah, that's what I've seen from that side of things.
Yeah, so again, to the point that I mentioned before, it's the question, how do you apply it? If you apply it right, it's not going to hallucinate. It's not going to give you wrong answers. So that's a fact. And we've built now our new product, ChainGPT, which is going to be launched in a month, which already works very well. It never hallucinates. And why? It's because how it's built. So with any AI, no matter if it's OpenAI, if it's Claude, if it's any other AI that has been around for 20 years. AI is not a completely new thing. It's been around 20 years. And I think what Gavin was referring to was also a rather AI model that has been on the market for 10 years. And all of them have limitations. And it's on us as software developers to exclude those limitations and use the benefits of it. It's the same as with any other technology.
Yeah, but basically, if we go back to the question of Richard, that he is asking, is the information in let's say ChatGPT outdated? And per definition, it is, because it's not using the data we are using right now. It's 1 or 2 years backwards, so to speak. So in that case, and that is getting better and better, but it's still not up to date. So it's what you say, Martin. It's how you use ChatGPT, or AI. It's not a religion. It's not per definition the truth. But it's always up to the interpretation and how you use it.
I think you just got to try it and see if it works. Then you will judge yourself.
Well, Martin, I'm definitely going to ask chat about my resume straight after this session. All right. But gentlemen, thank you for your time today. A lot of valuable insights, inputs, and a lot of great stuff that you guys are doing with your platform. So thank you. Just on the Q&A side, there's a fair amount of questions that we haven't gone through. So perhaps what Bryce will do is share them to the panelists. We can respond and then get those comments out to the individuals that have asked the questions. But again, a big thank you to the marketing team here at Janus International for putting this together. Again, Jack, Martin, Alasdair, Gavin, Marc, thank you for making the time. We really value your insight and sort of output of really great answers, meaty stuff. And we look forward to the next one. Again, to the audience, if you have any sort of thoughts about next topics that we should dive into from a self-storage perspective, please reach out to myself or marketing team directly or to our panelists, and we will gladly put something together. But again, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Have a fantastic day, and we'll chat soon. Cheers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Shalin.
All the best. Bye-bye.